And we're there. All right, everybody. It is just about 7 o'clock Wednesday night. That means it's another weekly episode of Conversations with Cougars. And we've got us a good one tonight. We got a Cougar who is a golfer and a sports fan overall, Scottie Edwards. How are you doing tonight, bud?
Man, I'm doing great. And yourself?
I am doing great. I am so glad for you to join me tonight. As we were talking about, your older brother, John David, and I were in school together. He and I played baseball for Bubba at the same time. You came along about the same time as my youngest brother, David. I think y'all may have been about the same class.
We graduated together. Me and David went to school throughout life together, man.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And I know you to be a huge football fan.
Of course.
Particularly of the Cougars. So every once in a while we step away from the ball players and we ask a fan, a former student, just somebody who was affiliated and supported the program at some point or another during their Northview years. So that's why I wanted you to come on tonight, because I know you've got a great perspective. I know you've got all kind of fun memories to share. But before we go back to those days, to the early 90s, Scottie, tell folks a little bit about yourself now and what do you do, where do you live, and those kind of things.
Well, right now I'm back here in Dothan, Alabama, working at Dothan Jeep Chrysler Dodge, helping taking care of my mom. My mom's 80 years old. So, I basically came back from Atlanta to make sure my mom, is in good shape, doing the best I can with her, but other than that, man, it's just enjoying life now at the moment. I done went through my ups and downs. Now I'm enjoying life.
Well, if I were to say Tiger Woods is in the house, which one of your former teammates, classmates might have said that?
Oh, man, it's going to be plenty of them to tell you that. Because, I was pretty much known as Tiger Woods, as Scottie Edwards, before Tiger Woods was known as Tiger Woods.
That's right. Well, I'll tell you who it is. He is the superintendent of schools in Ozark, Alabama.
Got to be Reeves Gartman.
That's right. That's
I already know.
Reeves, hope you're doing well tonight, bud. I know you're doing an outstanding job in Ozark. We wish you well and happy holidays. Well, Scottie, how did you get into golf? What prompted that love?
Now, this is funny. Because I never forget, I was in, Coach Griffin that coached you guys in football, with his wife was my second grade teacher at Girard Elementary.
Okay.
I grew up playing baseball and stuff all the time.
Sure.
So I remember my dad checked me out of school one day, went to register me for baseball, and we went to Fort Rooker, and he had a duffel bag with like 600-700 golf balls in it, and he just started hitting golf balls and practicing and stuff. And I said, "Hey, Dad, I want to play this sport here." And my dad looked at me like, "You want to do what?" I'm like, "Dad, I want to play this." He was like, "Scottie, this ain't gonna come easy like baseball, basketball, and football. But in order for you to play this sport here, you have to put in some work."
Yeah.
And I appreciated it, because he gave me the opportunity. Because my brother, all of them turned down the opportunity to play golf. He offered it to play, asked them to try to play, and none of them, was interested. But when I asked him myself, it caught him off guard, and he was like, "Okay, good." It was a go. He was like, "Yeah, let's do it." Me and my dad, I ain't gonna lie, it was tough. Because my father, he was from a military background, and me and him born on the same day, and we just bumped heads a lot of stuff. So both of us had the same birthday and stuff, and he, how he had the motto, either his way or the highway, it was rough. I'm not gonna even lie, Bernard, but I appreciate everything he taught me in playing golf. And like my dad, he played on the all-army golf team, and he played with people like Lee Trevino, Orville Moody. Wow. Jim, he played with some professional golfers himself, Yeah.
Well, I bet you've got some wonderful memories, probably many memories of playing with your dad. But as a youngster, that age, we're not all very hand-eye coordinated yet. Right. And that's such a sport of technical precision. Right. How long did it take you, Scottie, to develop some confidence in your game to see some of your abilities to start developing?
Well, let's say I started when I was about 7 or 8 years old playing, and about 9, 10, 11 or 12, you know, my dad used to just put me in tournament with grown men and stuff, and
Wow.
and I would go out there and hold it down, you know, play, you know, in the fights and stuff that I would get in, and you know, I might win, you know, trophy here and there and stuff. You know, my brother then was like, I mean, my brother John, man, you just don't know, man. He used to get on me all the time about playing golf and you know stuff, because you know my dad used to tell him, like, John, take Scottie to Fort Rooker, you know what I'm saying, to drop him off so he can go play golf. And John, you know, he kind of get upset and stuff because he didn't want to do it, but you know, I would have to have war stories with him going to Fort Rooker, but you know, it paid off in the end.
Well, you know, with you growing up in the mid to late 80s and then coming into high school in the early 90s and graduating in the class of 94,
yeah,
I suspect during that time period in the Dothan or in the Wiregrass, there weren't that many African American boys playing organized golf. So, I mean, did that even dawn on you? Did it make you feel any differently? Were you treated any differently?
Well, you know, me personally, black and white, it didn't dawn on me, you know, because I always got along, like I said, your brother David, you know, his friends, me, him, Andy Stuckey, Jay Hornbuckle, you know, Ben Emblem, Keith, you know, all us grew up together and went to school together. You know, only time we didn't go to the same school when they went to Girard Elementary. Right. I mean, Girard Middle School, and I went to Honeysuckle Middle School, but we all got back together in high school. Andy Stuck, you know what I'm saying? All of us, you know, we always been good friends and stuff. And to this day, you know, Keith Creel, you know, all of us, you know, we always been good friends and stuff. So, you know, when I played golf and stuff, it was like, it took away, only thing I dislike about it, I mean, I love it, don't get me wrong, but now baseball was really my sport. But when I started playing golf, I couldn't play baseball and golf at the same time.
Yeah, those two sports, at least in high school, are the same season. Right. I don't know of anybody who was able to handle both at the same time.
Exactly. I couldn't do it. So I had to give up on baseball. And honestly, Bernard, you just don't know. With my brother John, you know, John was pretty good at baseball.
He was.
And me being a youngster at 9, 10, 11, and 12, now John could hit a home run a long way. And for me to strike him out at a young age, it didn't happen that much.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he used to get me frustrated because he would knock my ball 300-400 feet, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna come back and get you. But he taught me how to throw other pitches and stuff, and you know, be like a Maddox. You know how Maddox was. I can't overpower you, but I can be precise and put the pitches in the right location.
Well, Scottie, let's go back to golf for just a minute. Who was the golf coach at Northview during your years?
Well, Coach Andrews was the coach my 9th and 10th grade year, and I should have made the team my 9th and 10th grade year, but I just did not make the team. So then we had Coach Ryan, who was really not much of a golf coach. I mean, he was just there.
He was just assigned to be the teacher, or the I guess the representative from faculty. Because I know you guys were pretty self-sufficient in being able to do what you needed to do all the time.
And see, if I had Coach Andrews, with the teams that they had, like my 9th and 10th grade year, man, because you had people on that golf team, I mean, they went to they were going to state regionals, and I mean, every year, because you had like 3 or 4 guys on that team that shoot in the 70s on a regular basis every round they played.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, they were pretty stout. I mean, if I could have made that team there, I mean, wow, it was.
Well, let's back up to middle school and Northview football.
Okay.
You're at Honeysuckle. You know some of the guys who were a couple years ahead of you who graduate from Honeysuckle, and I guess most went to Northview. I don't know if any went to Dothan at that time, but did you used to, as a middle schooler or elementary school, did you go to the games at Rip Hewes on Friday night?
Of course, all the time. I mean, that 85, 86, the state champion team, I used to be at the practices all the time. It was like an honor, you know what I'm saying? It'd be like some games and stuff. I used to be able to go out there on the field with the players when they come back out the locker room from halftime because they knew who I was. And, I used to be at the practices and all the time. Because Lawrence Dawsey, like I said, was my next door neighbor.
Right.
I grew up with Lawrence Dawsey as my next door neighbor. And,
he's a pretty good neighbor to have, I'd say.
Yeah. They had some great players on that team, man. I can name them all. Like, matter of fact, you had Cassie Butler, you had Willie Banks, you had Lonnie Mathis, Mark Reeves, Derek Flowers, Tim Reynolds, David Hogan, Ramon Bruner. That team was loaded, man. It was inevitable for them to win the championship as good as they were because they were stout on both sides of the ball, offense and defense.
Some pretty strong athletes, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
Now,
great.
I used to love seeing all the younger kids playing some form of pickup football.
Yeah.
Either during halftime or just outside of the playing field or in the parking lot area or the grass area. Were you part of that crew playing pickup?
Not really. Because sometimes maybe, but not really, but like I say, man, I used to be at the games every Friday night, and traveled whenever we had time, we go travel and go watch the games out of town. I remember when Larry Roberts played, and I used to be amazed when he used to kick off. People might not believe this. He used to kick the ball through the upright on the kickoff.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, stuff like that. Then, I must say about my cousin, Jonathan Woo Parker. I know you know him.
Oh, of course.
He was a pretty good running back himself,
He and Doug Jones were such a great pair.
Carry that load.
So let's come into ninth grade.
Okay.
As we all do when we leave middle school and transition over to the big high school, a lot of stuff's going on. You get used to new friends. Of course, new classes, new teachers, new everything. And for some, even it doesn't matter if you played sports or not, but for some, that transition takes a while to get used to it because you're not being, it's no longer the gentleness of middle school. It's now high school.
Well, I didn't really catch that much because I always hung around older people.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got to high school, a lot of the seniors and stuff I already know. I knew them and we were cool. And, so I didn't, how you haze a freshman and stuff. And, how you might, I didn't ever have no problems with that.
That's, Scottie, that's what I was just getting ready to ask you. When you went to play on the golf team, was there any kind of hazing by the older players?
Well, see, I didn't make the golf team till my junior year. Now my 9th and 10th grade year, Zach Little and Ronnie Williams and Chris Whitfield, we played together occasionally here and there, but we just had a good time, But see, by the time when I got on the team, I was like the oldest person on the team, so I really didn't have no problem,
Yeah. Well, and I hate to keep jumping around, but I want to talk about who were some of your buddies on the football team.
Wow.
And what was it like being in the stands on Friday nights?
My high school
at Rip Hewes and watching your buddies do their thing.
Oh man. Kevin Jackson, Larry Norton, Reeves Gertman, Stanley Owens, James Johnson, Isaiah Reese.
Oh man, listen to those athletes. You're just really.
That's what I'm saying. I grew up, I grew up with Tracy Cantaloupe.
Mm-hmm. Every one of those guys played on the second level, and then a couple of those guys played in the pros.
I'm gonna tell you something funny. Me and Tracy Cantaloupe talked. This probably been a couple of months ago, and we were talking about our baseball team when we grew up playing baseball. On my baseball team, he was like, "Man, there was like 6-7 guys on our baseball team that went to Division I playing sports." Yeah, and they were, I played with guys. I know it's about Northview, but it was a guy named Chris Cummins that went to Dothan High. I mean, this guy could just fly. I mean, flat out run. I mean, I believe he still has the record for the 60 indoor, and he almost qualified for the Olympics in '96. Wow. When Michael Johnson, that guy, he could just flat out run. I mean, all his life, he was just fast.
That's just a God's gift right there.
Right.
So watching Revis, watching Izell, watching those guys from the stands.
Oh yeah.
How fun was that? Were you up there with your friends or family? Were you with the students, or where were you in the stadium?
Oh man, I'd be right there behind the band because I wanted to hear all the noise and everything, because I wanted to hear the band make the noise, and we would have a great time. And sometimes I get down there by the field and talk to some, like, hey man, come on, man, let's get it, man. You got it, man. Sometimes they be down and I tell them, come on, man, y'all got this, man. This is nothing for you guys, man. Y'all work too hard,
That encouragement is, especially from friends, is always so crucial. But one of the things, I don't know if you knew this or if students knew this, the Northview locker room was directly below where the band and the student section was in the stadium.
Of course.
So pregame, you're getting ready, you're getting all your stuff on, you're getting your mind right, you're talking to your coaches, coach talking to you. We can hear all of that going on above, all that buzz. Mm-hmm. And at least for my teammates and for me, my years, that would get us even more fired up.
Oh yeah.
So I didn't know if you guys realized the impact that you had on the team pregame, because we could hear all that energy, feel all that energy just above us in the stands.
Oh yeah.
That was pretty cool.
That was good. I mean, because, to me, it was always a thrill to watch the teams run through the paper to hit the field. Mm-hmm. I played a little football myself in middle school, but I was all right. But just to run through that paper, it just did something, So when you hit that field, it was like, it's time to go. But yeah.
Oh, we got AOK has joined us. Aristotle Kirkland.
Oh, man. I mean, a great guy, a great friend of mine, because like I say, that team, when you had, that football team, I never forget when he recovered the fumble and ran it with like 92 yards back in the state championship game.
It changed the game. It changed the momentum, because that was in the first quarter. Huffman had already scored one touchdown. They were driving for another one. And then Bobby Estes blew up their pitch. It was an option of some sort. And Aristotle's in the right place at the right time, and he scooped it, and no one was going to catch him.
Well, we're going to say this here. Derek Flowers was right there side by side with him running all the way to the end zone.
Right. Flowers would have been the only person who could have caught him.
Exactly. I mean, but yeah, Aristotle Kirkland, it was funny, that game, because I remember that game in Birmingham as a little youngster. I was like 9, 10 years old at that time. I'll never forget my dad. We drove up to Birmingham and Legion Field, that's what it was at the time.
Well, I was going to say, had you ever been to Legion Field before that day?
No, I haven't.
How incredible was that stadium?
The stadium
compared to how, Rip Hewes, if you don't know differently, Rip Hewes is a good sized stadium for a high school stadium.
Yes.
And you go to Legion Field and it's just so much bigger.
Man. I mean, it was like, when we went to Legion Field, it was like, man, this is like a professional stadium or something, because Rip Hewes Stadium, like you said, was a nine-size field, stadium and stuff, but Legion Field is the next level.
Well, Scottie, let's talk about Rip Hewes for just a minute. We all grew up going there, going to the games, playing in the games and all of that. But what I want you to talk to us from high school, Northview wins a home game. Everybody's in a good mood. Everybody is good. What was a typical Friday night? Where did you guys go and celebrate, hang out?
McDonald's on Main Street. McDonald's on Main Street. That's every game.
Now, actually going in or just hanging out in the parking lot?
It didn't matter. I mean, we'd be all over there in the park. Remember, Sears used to be across the street. People be all over there in the parking lot over there at Sears. inside McDonald's. Or, I mean, it just was a hangout.
Yeah.
It was just a hangout, you know. Like I said, I was young, and you know, my cousin them, and whenever the football players and stuff showed up or whatever, whatnot, they were like, Scottie, what your young butt doing? You know, what you doing here and stuff. But they knew.
Now, would there also be Dothan High students and players there too, or is this just Northview during your years?
Well, basically, I believe Dothan High hung out at both teams hung out there.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever was at home that weekend, you know, when they played after the game, West Main, McDonald's, here we come.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it was more of Northview though.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and I suspect with all of those buddies of yours being on the team, you probably took or felt as much ownership of those wins as the guys who played in the game that day. I mean, and that's as close as you were with those guys. I can totally see how you would feel just like they would feel, just in the celebration of it.
Well, let me tell you one game that really upset me as a Cougar, as a fan of the team, you know, and stuff. When they played that playoff game and Jinsu Park kicked the field goal. Me and my brother were just sitting there. Me and John was sitting there, you know, 3 officials had called the field goal good. Then they got together and had a meeting. It's all of the 5. 2 called it no good and 3 of them called it good. All of a sudden, now they called the field goal no good. I'm like, hold on. I have 3 of them call it good, and then 2 of them say it's no good. 3 more than 2. But
yeah. Well, that, you know, Scottie, that game really upsets a lot of people even to today. And I've interviewed Jinsu here. I've had conversations with Jason Mullins. I've had conversations with Coach Josh Parrish, and a whole bunch of other folks who either played or coached in that game. And that's just one of those games in the Northview history, 41 years of football, that unfortunately just has a sour taste in everybody's mouth because they all said it was good.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. And I mean, that team now, like I say now, my freshman year, you had Stanley Owen, you had James Johnson, who went on to the pros. You know what I'm saying? You had 2 stellar running backs back there, you know, and that team was pretty good. And now the defense, oh my goodness. You had people like Willie White, Kevin Jackson, you know.
You had some real hitters on that team.
Oh, yeah, some real heavy hitters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what made you the most proud to be a Northview Cougar, to be a student there, to be an athlete representing the school, to be a graduate of Northview? What has that meant to you over the years?
Well, the most proud of it, I mean, because it was a tradition where my brothers then went, my cousins went, and it was just the following footsteps of my brothers and my family, you know, because all of my brothers graduated from Northview, my 3 older brothers, and my cousins, you know, like I say, Chris Parker, Jonathan Parker, and, you know, so it was like me growing up, and that's all I see. I mean, because I remember back in the days when you had Coach Parrish. Coach Parrish load the players up on the truck and come drop them off in the neighborhood. I mean, you know, he was involved with the team. He was a great coach.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. For years and years, those pickup trucks of his carried many, many ball players to their homes, their neighborhoods. But could you have even ever have imagined wearing the red and black for Dothan High? Could that ever even enter your mind as a kid? Because you know your older brothers only by a few years missed going to school there.
Right.
You know, the school Northview just became a school in 78.
Yeah, my oldest brother, I think he graduated in 80, 81.
Yeah.
And then John graduated in 83.
Yeah.
And James graduated in like 84. So yeah. Now I do have family that went to Dothan High.
Well, sure. We all do growing up. My dad went there. But as soon as all the boys started going to Northview, his allegiance immediately changed.
I got a good friend of mine Was a great running back at Dalton High. Matter of fact, you had him on Conversations. Dennis Tillman.
Oh, DT was such
DT,
a
man,
what a fine athlete.
A great athlete. A great athlete.
Yeah.
So I asked him one time. This is a question. I say, so DT, who was the best number 34? You or Woo Woo? You know, of course, he gonna always say, "Oh man, but
that's right."
Those were two great running backs, though.
Scottie, every time he touched the ball, I held my breath because I knew Dennis was going to take it to the house. He was just that fast.
Yeah, I think he probably ran about a 4.3.
4.3, 4.4. I would have no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. And those teams, the Dothan High teams, 84 and 85, were loaded with athletes as well. I could only imagine had our schools been one school during that time period, we would have probably been in the state finals a few times.
Every year. Yeah. And see, I got a friend of mine that's a coach at what I still don't say it. Well, the Wolves.
Yeah, the current school.
The current school. That's how we'll say that because we're Northview Cougars, so we're not.
That's right.
And, Greg Greenwood is a great friend of mine. We grew up playing baseball and stuff. I said, man, what's the problem, man? Because I'm looking at the squads and stuff of teams that football teams and stuff and basketball teams. I'm like, man, they were great teams, good teams back then. So I know if you combine them together, it should be championship caliber teams every year.
Yeah.
And he tells me, he says, Scott, I'm gonna tell you, man, starts from the top. You have to have great coaches, like Coach Parrish. But see, Coach Parrish got involved in the community and everything and stuff. The coach that you had, and he had great knowledge of the game.
Yeah. And he hired some excellent, top-notch assistants who were there for many, many years. But Scottie, before Dothan High split in 77, 78, the football team had been to the state finals for 2 years in a row, had lost both of those years, but they made it to 4A state finals. And I think 74, 75 or 75, 76 with Stedman Shealy as their quarterback. And then the baseball team won the state championship in 78 with Bubba Johnson as their coach.
Who?
Before he came over to
Bubba Johnson?
Yeah.
That was your coach. Yeah, Coach Johnson was a great guy.
Bubba was later the Northview coach for many, many years for me and John David and many others throughout that time. But we've got just a few more minutes, but I do want to ask you, I want you to share, because I know you've got some great stories. I want you to share what was fun for you being just a student at Northview. It's a huge campus, awesome teachers, great friends, but I know you've got some fun stories that you want to maybe share. Tell a little bit about Stanley or Izell, just not on the field, but just off the field, just being guys in high school.
I mean, I had plenty of friends, basketball squad, football squad, and the stories in high school, man, it was so much crazy stuff that people I hung around and dealt with and stuff in school. We just had to stay out of trouble, man.
Well, I'm gonna get you to tell a story or two, but I want to say hello. We got Bud Young is watching with us. Lisa Barber is watching with us.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, well, my fullback, LaRue Freeman says, "What's up, little Scottie?"
I just talked to me and LaRue real close. I was just with him a couple of weeks ago. Like I always hung around the older people.
Yeah.
And they like I say, see, I call me Little Scottie. I'm always Little Scottie.
Well, I tell you, when LaRue hits you, you've been hit on the field.
Yeah, that's why he was a great fullback.
He was a great.
Imagine how strong he is when he go through that hole and open a hole up for Lawrence or Raymond Bruno or O'Shawn Legree, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right?
That's right. You're right.
Oh,
Isaac Salter. That's right.
Yes. I forgot about Isaac.
And Rue
wide open once he blocked for you.
It was. Rue, I want to get you on this show. You got so much to share, bud. It's been a while since we've talked. So I hope you'll join me in January.
That's gonna be hard to do because LaRue, that's tough. I like to see that myself.
Well, Scottie, I'm gonna press you a little bit. I want you to share a story or two. I want you to know that anything you say, well, just between me and you right now, nobody else is listening. And the statute of limitations, whatever whatever happened, happened. Nobody's gonna, no, I'm messing with you, but I
I know.
know you got a smile on your face. I know you got a couple stories that are fun.
About high school? I mean, high school's some of the funnest days of my life. I mean, I grew up, matter of fact, my friends and stuff from my neighborhood and stuff, we grew up with playing sports and athletes and stuff, great athletes and stuff. But in school, we just have fun. It was just fun. It was all about having fun and
It's a carefree
getting our
time.
grades
Isn't
and
it?
stuff. Huh?
It's a carefree time, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Oh
You're
yeah.
trying to figure out your golf swing. You're trying to figure out your grades, trying to figure out, if you're going to date somebody. It's just this crazy time of just growing up.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, now I'm gonna okay. James Johnson.
okay.
Okay, that Simp. I mean, my freshman year. I mean, okay, I say okay. He had a locker beside my locker.
And were y'all the same class?
No, James Johnson was like a junior or senior.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah, James Johnson. They played with Mississippi State and the Miami Dolphins and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, this guy is like, they would bully people and stuff, and they take like video games from people and stuff. And I was like, man, how you getting all this? He's like, man, don't worry about it. I'm gonna just put this in your locker. And I'm like, man, you gonna get me in trouble, man. He was like, Scottie, I got you. I'm like, man, you got more games. We have all kind of games. Yeah. I mean, but I give you that one story.
Well, we'll take that one story, but it is, and I hope that the classes, the guys who are in the classes before you and after you will still continue to come on the show, because I've done most of the guys in my years and a little bit older, but I'm wanting to get some of the newer Cougars. But the guys who graduated in the last 10 years, I don't think they're real interested in this stuff just yet. They hadn't been out long enough. They hadn't experienced enough life to be able to talk about
the
it.
guys in the last 10 years, I'm gonna be honest, they don't know the history really about Northview from back in the 80s.
No, you're so right about that.
I mean,
and Scottie, that's one of the reasons why I'm doing these shows every Wednesday. We're preserving the oral history of the program and of the school. And when we have Shirley C. and we have you name it, some of these folks who've been there from the very beginning coming on the show and talking about their time, it really means a lot, because it's, it puts smiles on folks' faces. It was a happier, I wouldn't say happier, it was a happy time. It was a simpler time back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Before I let you get out of here, I want you to share a golf story. I want you to tell us what was one of your favorite tournaments or outcomes when you were playing either as a junior or a senior, any particular courses or places where you played exceptionally well.
Well, we used to play, our home course was Olympia Spa.
Mm-hmm.
But then around my senior year, you had Robert Trent Jones. Mm-hmm. But we never played any tournaments out there, but we played a lot at Olympia Spa, Ozark, Enterprise, Eufaula. The team we had, we still would go out there and never lose a Dover High, Enterprise, Ozark. We always won our matches, but we just didn't never go to state or win state or anything at the time. We didn't qualify for state. I mean, we had a pretty good team. Yeah. Like I said, the teams that were before me were the teams that they were really loaded. They were really loaded. Yeah. But we had great times. I must say that. I mean, because all my teammates and stuff, we had fun no matter what. We go out there and have fun. That's what it was about.
Do you get to play now?
Oh, yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, that I'm back down here in Dothan. Yes, I am.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Scottie, I appreciate you spending some time tonight and sharing a little bit about your Northview years. I love hearing, it doesn't matter what year you graduated. It doesn't matter to me if you played or didn't play. We all have, even though they're different years and experiences, we all have a common bond. We all have a commonality that where we went to school, some of the things that we did, some of the teachers, coaches, those kind of things. And that's what makes these stories for me each week just so much fun. And I really appreciate you sharing a little bit of your world, your story back then.
I appreciate you having me on, Bernard. I mean, like I said, I was honored when you sent me. I was like, wow, you know, it caught me off guard. I couldn't believe it, but I was like, okay, sure. The first thing I said was like, sure, let's, you know,
Well,
I feel good.
And Scottie, it's nice meeting you, seeing you, and chatting with you. I'll tell Dave that you and I had a good little conversation. I'm sure he'll see this video later.
Okay.
But, guys, we're going to keep coming back. We're going to take a little bit of a break next week or two, but we'll be back after the first of the year. More conversations with Cougars, and we're just going to keep doing these on Wednesday nights as long as I can get folks to keep showing up. So thank you, Scottie. Thank you to everybody. Happy and healthy holidays, and we'll catch you later.
Same to you, man. Thanks.